Hey guys, Anthony aka the Almighty Hut here. This channel's been on hiatus for a while because I just had other things going on, but I'm returning now better than ever with fresh content and insight on the Star Wars universe, and maybe a podcast with a friend of mine coming soon, so let me know if you're interested in that in the comments below. Without further ado, let's get into the video. With networks like AMC and HBO pumping out hit TV shows like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones over the past decade or so, they have proven that television can be just as lucrative, if not more so, than a single blockbuster film at the box office. There are a few reasons this is the case. First off, unless you're a franchise like the MCU that has 3 films on average releasing per year, it's hard to continue to be the hottest topic on social media for a prolonged amount of time. Sure, big releases like the MCU and, well, Star Wars are talked about a little longer than most other movies due to their dedicated fan bases. But even then, the casual audience stops talking about it within a matter of weeks. TV has the power to be different in this way, however. Think about it. How long was Game of Thrones talked about week after week, season after season? Yeah, it was a while, wasn't it? I also remember fans in my history class a few years ago talking about The Walking Dead every Monday morning after a new episode had aired the night before. It's this ability to release a new episode weekly for a few months during the current season of a TV show that keeps it relevant. The water cooler effect, if you will, in that everyone at the office or the school or wherever will be talking about the new episode of the hottest show the morning after the newest episode airs, much like my history classmates did with The Walking Dead. Of course, Netflix does things a little differently by dropping entire seasons at once, and that seems to work for them, but if you notice, even hit shows from them like Stranger Things eventually tend to fall out of the public eye for a while until the next season airs. Now you may be thinking to yourself, what does this have to do with Star Wars? Well, of course, we all know that Disney and Lucasfilm are planning multiple Star Wars TV series for their new streaming platform, Disney Plus, due to launch this fall. And to my knowledge, they plan on releasing episodes for the first of those series titled The Mandalorian weekly instead of all at once like how Netflix does things. The reason this is so important is this. After The Rise of Skywalker releases this December, there isn't going to be a new Star Wars movie in theaters until 2022, a whole 3-year hiatus for the films. So, what better way to keep Star Wars in the conversation than with television? Now you may be thinking, well, Star Wars is always in the conversation anyways. There's always some sort of news about it, whether it's Galaxy's Edge, the books and comic releases, or what have you. But the thing is that, yes, to us, the hardcore Star Wars fan base that watches Star Wars YouTube videos like you're doing right now, or that follows the books and comics, the TV news, the Galaxy's Edge news, whatever it may be, of course we feel like Star Wars is always in the news because we're always searching for it. We Google it, we crave it for God's sake. But to the general public, that's not a thing. They don't go searching for news articles every day, and they may not even know about the books and comics and whatnot. That's why television is going to be so incredibly important to the longevity of this franchise going forward, because instead of counting on people to search for the news, Lucasfilm is going to bring the news to them. And what I mean by that goes back to the water cooler effect I mentioned earlier. If The Mandalorian turns out to be a huge hit, and people are talking about it week after week, it will be unavoidable at some point. Just like how you saw Game of Thrones news all over the place during the final season of that show. It was in everyone's Twitter feeds, everyone was talking about it, and this is coming from someone who wasn't even a fan of the franchise and doesn't follow anyone specifically for that purpose, but like I said, it was unavoidable. That's what Disney wants with The Mandalorian. That's why they're dumping $15 million per episode into it, so that people first and foremost subscribe to the service, and secondly, so that Star Wars is being talked about constantly. And with production budgets so high, a great list of cast and crew, and the Star Wars name attached, I feel like it really does have the potential to feel like it's on the same level as a Game of Thrones or a Walking Dead in terms of sheer popularity. Let's also not forget, the people who subscribe to Disney Plus for reasons other than Star Wars, whether that's Marvel or if they just want family-friendly content to watch with their kids or whatever, if they're subbed to the service already and not yet a Star Wars fan, but they hear people talking about The Mandalorian all the time at work or wherever, they go home and see it on the service, and chances are they check it out and maybe fall in love. And the same works in the opposite, with Star Wars fans becoming Marvel fans or something along those lines. I give it 5 years and Disney will rule the world. The last thing I wanted to touch on in this video is that Disney also has the final season of the Clone Wars animated series coming to Disney Plus, and a Rogue One spin-off. Yes, a spin-off of a spin-off, starring Diego Luna's character Cassian Andor doing cool spy stuff for the Rebellion. obviously before the events of Rogue One, because it certainly couldn't be after Rogue One, now could it? Not to mention, Disney CEO Bob Iger said in an interview that we'll probably see a third live-action series released before the next film in 2022. So that's 3 new live-action shows, each possibly multiple seasons long, and a new season of an animated show, all already confirmed to air between this November and 2022, exclusively on Disney+. Plus, the animated Star Wars Resistance will probably continue to run on Disney Channel for another season or so. So if you were worried about Star Wars falling out of the public eye until the next film releases, do not fear, because television has come to save the day. Seriously though, TV is going to pretty much be equally as important as the films moving forward, even once Disney resumes the film releases. Because by then, Star Wars will have already established itself in the TV sphere, and it will be there to stay. None of this would have been possible before we hit this golden age of television either, because multiple season-long dramas of this sort of production quality that we're seeing in shows now was unprecedented before, and TV was seen as a larger risk than releasing a film, but not anymore. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like and subscribe, and stay tuned to the channel for more future content. Follow my social media links in the description below for even more updates on Star Wars news, and I'll catch you next time. May the Force be with you all.